So now I'm trying to figure out what I chose to read from his grave and to stand up to all that. Such a lovely day. Thanks so much to John for inviting me, to Joy for letting me her copy of Dinningham's Arms. I just moved 2 weeks ago. I can't find anything. I'm going to, and by Dennis Scott, it's called up. I'd like to dedicate the reading tonight to those other attributes, including joy, our beauty, strength, and grace. A crowd had gathered around Mrs. Winter. The commotion at the graveside vibrated with suppressed hilarity. Me, I wasn't able to keep properly solemn. When my shoulders had started shaking with silent laughter, I ducked behind the plain pine coffin still on its stand outside the grave. I bit my lips to keep the giggles in and peeked around the coffin to watch the goings-on. Mrs. Winter had given up the attempt to discreetly pull her bloomers back up. Through the milling legs of the mourners, I could see her trying desperately instead to kick off the pale pink nylon that had slithered down from her haunches and snagged around her ankles. Her kick sent a tiny flash of gold skittering across the cemetery lawn to land near me. I glanced down. I picked up the small tangle of gold-colored wire and put it in my jacket pocket for later. Right now, I had some happy drama to watch. Pastor Paul, ever helpful, bent to the ground at Mrs. Winter's feet and reached for his parishioner's panties. Lord help me, Jesus, he was really going to pick them up. But he drew his fingers back. He looked mortified. Maybe he was thinking how the panties had recently been snug up to Mrs. Winter's naked flesh. I thought my belly was going to bust. I was trying so hard not to laugh aloud. I bet your Dada would have laughed with me if he wasn't in that coffin right now. Mrs. Winter felt the tip of one of her pumps caught in the froth of pink nylon. She cheeked in dismay and fell heavily to the ground. God, I must say, I bent right over, shaking with laughter, trying not to pee myself from it. Pastor Paul and Mrs. Winter's son Leroy were pulling on her arms now, trying to get her off the ground. Oh, Dada, oh, I whispered through my giggles. Wherever you are, I hope you see this. Serve the old baton right for insulting me like that. Not a day went by at work that she didn't find some sly way to sink in the night. She had to go and do the same thing at my father's funeral, too. Mrs. Winter was halfway up. She had one arm hooked around Leroy's neck, and Pastor Paul was pushing her from behind. A few of the mourners asked her if she was all right. Oh, my God, was all she said. Oh, my God. My laughter was edging up on hysteria. Too much. Death and mirth all at once. I rested my hands on my knees and took little panting breaths to calm myself. I couldn't hide behind the coffin forever. At least the tingling in my hand had stopped. A few minutes earlier, standing at the open grave, I suddenly felt too warm and my hand forgotten pins and needles. I took a scrap of wire out of my pocket. It had been crushed flat. I pulled on the loops of wire until something of its original shape began to emerge. I had a good look at it and gasped. I held the pin up against the sunlight. It caught a spark of light, threw blades of sunshine at my eyes. It had gotten warped over the years, forced into service to hold up Mrs. Winter's loose jaws. It used to be a decorative pin for wearing on a blouse, its gold wire looped in the shape of an ornate C, T, and L. Chastity, Teresa, Lambkin. My girlhood name. Mom had given me that pin for my A-green. Plenty in this world don't make sense. Not like this. She took a big gulp of her drink, thought of it. 2, 3 weeks since I'd been here last. Maybe in that time what, Ife? A whole cashew grove sprout and grow in 2 weeks? Oh, the tree's not so tall, she said later. Don't. Don't what? Don't, I said, do like everybody around me doing. Don't try to come up with a story to explain it and talk yourself into believing the story. That thing out there don't have no explanation. Until or unless it chooses to go way back again, I have to live with that knowledge every morning I wake up and see it. Don't let me have to live with that alone. But please, Ife. Ife stared into her glass. Now, I said, tell me about Clifton. What's wrong? Something happened to him? She shook her head. No, he texted me this morning. He's okay. And why he didn't come back? Don't tell me he's seen somebody. Nah, we were fighting again. What about? Her smile was sad. Betty asked what we don't fight about. We war about whether Stanley going to take cricket or band, whose turn it is to wash the dishes, whether hotels should be able to have a lockdown on beachfront property or not. And last night, what the fight was about then is you who started it and your mouth hot. I had a good teacher. You know, I said, I have this book you should read, Anger Management for Women. Oh yes, you read it yet? Don't be fresh, I'm your mother. She laughed bitterly. Not calamity? I closed my eyes. Bravo. Hat trick. The silence stretched between us like chewed out gum. You been inside the cashew grove? She asked me finally. A little way in, not far. Thank you, daughter mine, for the change of subject. She drained her glass, put it down. You want me to go and explore it? I gulped. Casually, I said, no, it's all right. I can always do that another day. You figured, you're frightened. No, that's not it. People have that woman like you frightened of a few little trees. Oh yes, you think so, eh? I knocked back the rest of my lime wash, clunked the glass down. All right, I dare you. You and me, right now, in the cashews. She said, right this minute, I double dog dare you. What? She shrugged. Don't ask me, I hear Stanley say it. We let Stanley and Agway know where we were going. Stanley didn't even look up from the television. He just grunted. As we went through the front door, I heard him say to Agway, those are the Cylons, they're the bad guys.
Kind of a classical cliche question. When did you first feel this impulse in your being to express yourself this way?
I grew up in a family where everyone did so. My father was a writer, he's a playwright, he was an actor. My mother was a craftsperson, and we were surrounded by books, we were surrounded by other artists. So it didn't seem like such an unusual thing, but in terms of actually writing myself, it was, I think I knew from being a teenager that I wanted to, but did not take the courage to try to do so until in my 30s. So I didn't start writing until my mid-30s. I figured, you know, daddies wrote. I didn't think I had anything to say. It took me a while to find that contrary voice.
Can I ask one?
Yeah.
When you approached that, was there one incident or episode or a series of circumstances that kind of catapulted you into taking that leap of faith when you were in your 30s, or was it just an accumulation of?
A little bit of both, which is often my answer. But Judy Merrill, who was a very influential writer and editor in the field, and who was living in Toronto at the time, was offering a science fiction writing workshop. And I thought, well, now or never, let's try it. And I wrote 6 pages of something that I didn't know what it was and didn't know what to do with it, and it was just blind terror, and handed it in. And I think that was probably the start of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thinking about the fact that she's in her 50s.
Is the fiction which I read most, which is science fiction and fantasy. So it's no accident that my father came watching Galactica. It's no accident that at one point Calamity says, you know, that writer man was right, God isn't I. So a shout out to Spider Robinson. So whatever they put on the spine, I mean, my editor, I think, has moved quite deliberately, not putting anything on the spine and letting the chips fall where they may.
According to the Yale bookstore. So
Yeah.
So
Maybe move back to the back of the store.
Yeah.
Take her back to right.
It might. I don't worry too much about it. It's what belongs to people. Thank you all.
Thank you.